Are you in the stream? No, I need to send it to you, don't I? I'll stick it in the old. Yeah, the usual place. There you go. There it is. It's been a busy few days. I've been getting up for runs and then starting work at kind of a reasonable time. I've been trying to bring a bit of structure back into my life, and it's worked quite well. Cool. I heard me, so all good. Got that? Yeah. That scar was such a good fashion choice. Like such a bad man. Is that level of unbuttoning reasonable, or should I do one more up? Do you think is that too provocative? Is that get a medallion? No, I saw the email, but by the time that came through, I'd already kind of put the work emails aside for the afternoon. So have you recorded an assembly? That is sheer class. How did you record it? Because I'm going to do some pilot lessons, some sort of remote learning lessons in the next few days. What did you find the most effective tool? Yeah. The Surface Pro wasn't very good. Yeah. Weird. Oh, so you were worried there was some sort of issue with uploading them, or? Yeah. Too big to fail. So how did you get on with it? You know, I will look forward to watching it tomorrow. What else did it around? I sent the stuff about the C&G lessons round, and I sent that email about Bob as well. So I probably shouldn't say that on screen. So yeah, all of that's in hand. Yeah, I've decided to return to my characteristic efficiency rather than this kind of unmotivated waste of space that I've been for the past few weeks. No, yeah, I do have it's a real habit of mine to occasionally slip into kind of nihilism. Nothing matters. Oh, what the chief, the Grand Fromage. Oh, is it? I reckon he can see every email if he wants. You know, his focused bit of email. If he goes off focus to all emails, it's just every single email. If that were the case, I would not have a job. No one would. Surely, no one would. Even. Oh, really? Okay, of course. Yeah, only if you accidentally send them to. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't yet. I'll have a quick look. If you say it's clear, I trust that it's completely clear. But I'll just look for my own benefit. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And I'll obviously just mention when I say just look really carefully and make sure that you're given the correct thing. Yeah, it's named after the thing in Venice. No, the of size. In fact, I'm gonna. Hello, everybody. I can see that people are starting to join us now. Thank you very much for that. As always, as you make your entrance, if you could just herald your arrival in the chat box, just so we know which teams are here, who we're still waiting for, and we can start ticking people off. I hope everybody's well. Can already see we've got a good number of viewers. So as soon as you've got a chance, just put your team name in the chat, and we can tick you off. We can do the register, so to speak. For this first bit, just while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'll be kind of in and out of being muted so I can chat with Farid. So if you can see my mouth moving but there's no sound, it's probably that I've muted my microphone rather than there's anything wrong at your end. Hello, Russ. Good to have you with us. And nice to see a reference to University Challenge legends. Now, the political thing to do, of course, would have been to throw my name in there as well, but I never got a TV show out of it. So I got a YouTube channel, but I suppose it's not quite the same as Radio 4 slots and columns in newspapers and the like. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Never meet your heroes. That's what they say, isn't it? Never meet your heroes. So as Russ has wonderfully demonstrated, if you can just pop your team name in the chat once you are in the house, that would just that helps us greatly. So just when you can do that. Hello, Alice. Thanks for joining. Pear Tree in the house. Hope that you're all well. Yeah, the sort of the dodgy manual quarantine trim could have been worse. Yeah, could have been Farad's, but he's got the good sense not to appear on the nation's TVs with his. So, but thank you. It's very kind. It's very kind. Yeah, keep following the wonderful example of Alice and Russ, and throwing your teams. Thanks, John. Great to have you back with us. Great to see some new teams this week and some returning teams as well. I don't know if they're in yet, but Paul Lagdon and family are in. Laggers legends. So great to have a new team at this late stage. I thought we'd got all we were going to get. So that's great to see. Hello, Emily. Thank you. Let's get quizzical. The Wilborns also lovely to see you. I keep saying see you. I obviously can't, but it's the thought that counts. A few people have signed off emails to me this week with see you on Wednesday. I'm like, yes, I can't send it back. Yeah, yes, you will see me on Wednesday. Seems very odd. Hello, Helen. That's the how well staffed are you this evening, Helen? I remember last week you said it was just the two of you. Dom had slunk off to bed and what have you. Are you a full complement this evening, or are you depleted again? Just so everyone knows how scared to be. Is HTS on the leaderboard? I can't see it. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Craig. With I ain't getting on no plane. Great to see you both. Thank you. Topping Shaw's team name. I know it, but I can't remember it. Tequila Mockingbird, of course. You are in. We've just added you to the entry form, Helen. For some reason, we didn't have you down, but that's all sorted now. Keep your introductions going, guys. It's lovely to see who's playing. We've got a good, I think, 22 teams now with Helen in there as well this evening. So we haven't really, in fact, I think we've gained from last week, which is fantastic, with a returning team and a new team. So clearly going from strength to strength. Finance our channel here. Thank you, Louise. Helen, thank you. Quiz Read are assembling. I'm sure everybody hoping that you were otherwise engaged this evening, girls, but they'll have to deal with it. Agatha Quistia in, fantastic. Thanks, Pam. Do you want me to ask? Pam, Farad asked if you got the email first time round this time. I know you're having a little bit of trouble and you weren't receiving them hitherto. Has that managed to resolve itself now? Your prompt arrival would suggest yes, but... So if you're here, you probably don't need me to say this because you are mostly seasoned veterans of the quiz by now. But you should have got your answer sheets with your initial email from Farad. So it'd be quite a good idea to get the round one answer sheet open now, nice and early doors. And I always recommend pen or pencil and paper as well, just so you can scribble a few things down as well. But definitely get those round one answer sheets open, although we will be putting the link to those in the chat before the round starts. But why not get nice and prepared? Yes, Farad, Pam is all sorted with her all staff and is glad to know that she hasn't secretly been fired. The term now isn't fired anyway. Everyone's furloughed these days, aren't they? That's an archaic term that's really made a comeback. It's up there. If you're playing isolation government jargon bingo, I think furlough is probably up there with unprecedented and robust. Oh, sage advice. Yeah, sage advice. Yeah. Ali Clinton, the Latvians are with us, Farad. Crown Corners are getting there. Hello, Julia. Hello, Ali. Great to see the pieces coming together, the stars aligning. Actually, Julia, and I won't necessarily say why yet, but I'm on the bubbly this evening. We've got a few things to celebrate, so I thought I'd push the vote out. Wouldn't want to be too jolly on the old red wine. CDS Marine, remind me, are you Rich's clan? Thompson Tartan, sorry, yeah, of course. Thompson Tartan, CDS Marine. Dr. Farkas is in the house. The Wuhan clan are in. Joe Wicks is all you need are here as well. Winfield's Redemption. Winners, have you got Chris with you this evening? Also, yeah. You're always very vague, Tom. Winfield and friends on your thing. I'm never sure. Have you got Captain Canada with you? F. Wodold are in. Elder Hewitt, Alderson and friend. The newly quarantined teachers, the nearly men and women of the competition so far, are half in, which is good to know. And a very optimistic phrasing, Vari. Half in rather than half nowhere to be seen. The Crookster is with Winfield's Redemption, making them a dangerous prospect for anybody. Have to cut some of these ice hockey questions out, or Crook will be gobbling them up. Yeah. Yeah. I'm being asked if I can request the presence of Lady Covidus, which is Shirley Morrison's team, and whether Steph Graham and Social Quistancing are in. This is a customer announcement. But we're getting there by the looks of it. So we never aim to start before past anyway. So we're making good time. For those of you that have joined recently, sorry if you've heard this already. Pens and paper, always strongly advised. And if you've got the link to the round one answer sheet via the email that Farid sent you, get those open, get those ready, get all of the admin and the prep out of the way, glasses, bottles, whatever it is, bedpans, whatever it is you need so you can get comfortable for the next couple of hours. Fantastic. The Lady Providers have entered the virtual pub. Hair done. And Social Quistancing are assembling. So that doesn't leave us waiting on too many. If I Financing Our Chances almost here. Wilborns are in. F. Udold are in. Lady Providers are in. The Latvians are in. Quiz Reader on their way. Yes. Haven't heard Laggers Legends. Yeah. If perfect. Thank you, Paul. Doing it the old-fashioned way. He's just sent Farad a fax letting us know that he's in as well, which is great. Financing Our Chances all assembled. I've seen the Crown Corners. I've seen Let's Get Quizzical. I've seen Agatha Christie. I think I've seen everybody that I need. And by the time I've got over my turgid opening spiel, I'm sure that everybody that needs to be here will be here. So, welcome back to, would you believe it, week 5 of the NSB quarantine quiz. I think when Farad and I first put this idea together, we'd maybe make it to 3 weeks before participation dropped off completely and nobody wanted to do it anymore. So it's great to see that in week 5, I think we have the most players or the most teams that we've had since the first week. We've got a returning team in the form of the Marshals, Quislamic State, and a completely new team in the form of Laggers Legends, adding to the Galacticos that we've already got. You will not need telling that Quiz Read are now 3 weeks on the bounce unbeaten, putting a really high bar for everybody else to meet. We've also got Tequila Mockingbird, Hannah Topping Shaw's team have done really well in the past. F. Udold, always there and abouts. The Thompson Tartans were worrying the table at the top of the table a few times, I know, in previous weeks as well. It really is, I don't want to say it the cliche, but it really is anybody's game. Now, the one thing I'm noticing, I don't know if this is on my screen, but I've got a little bit of a sort of colour pulse. Don't know if you can see this, Farad. Is it kind of going kind of warm and then a little bit cold? Yeah, I don't know if that's there's not a police car outside waiting for me. I wonder if it's just the case of the lighting being slightly off that the computer's trying to compensate for it. I think I'm using my Surface Pro for if not the first time, then I've been using my personal laptop a little bit more in the past. If I just turn that bit of light off, it might not need to compensate quite so much. Let's see if that's any better, because you're already likely to have a headache and a nausea just from watching and listening to me, let alone kind of a pulse strobe lighting. That looks a bit better. Farid, the fielders, I didn't see them on the leaderboard either. The Kings. Okay. Yeah, Victoria, Farid says you're all sorted now, so thank you for letting us know. Just to let you know, format is going to be exactly the same. That is 4 rounds of 15 questions. Each round is themed. The third round is a picture round. You won't have got your answer sheet for round 3 yet. We're saving that one so that no one can see the pictures early. But the general format is going to be round 1. I'll read the questions once. I'll read the questions again. You submit your answers. I go through the answers and Farah gives you the marks and the scores on the doors. We'll then move straight on to round 2. 5 minutes maybe as a quick changeover if you need a break, but we won't have a formal interval there. Round 3, we'll send out the answer sheet with all the pictures on it. You'll then have 10 minutes at your leisure to answer those and submit those answer sheets, which will double as a little interval in the break for you. We'll do the scores for that and we'll move on to round 4. Just to give you an idea so you can get yourselves in the right mental space, round 1 is going to be a sport round. Round 2 is going to be books versus TV. The two things competing for our attention during this lockdown period, I'm sure. And round 4 is going to be one of those fiendish connection rounds again. And round 3, I'm going to keep as a little bit of a mystery for now. After I've read the questions for the first time through, you are welcome to submit your answers at any point from there. And the quicker, the sharper, the sooner, the better, because it means Farah can make a start on marking them. If you haven't already, can you please open up your answer sheets for round 1? Because that will just mean that we can get started really nice and quickly. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this camera, so I do apologize. I can't seem to fix it. Hopefully when the sort of twilight becomes a little bit darker, it might stabilize. I think it's trying to juggle being a bit too dark and a bit too light at the minute. Bit irritating, but nothing we can't manage. Before we start the quiz though, I have got a very, very important announcement to make. This week sees not 1, not 2, as the email stated, but in fact 3 very important NSB birthdays. It might be more, but these are the 3 people that have decided that I must know that it is in fact their birthday. So before we get started, I am appropriately armed to celebrate some birthdays. So I'll get this on a suitably jaunty angle. There we go. So if we can all say a massive, massive happy birthday to first person whose birthday it is Vari Sinclair, who is with the newly quarantined teachers. She was the NTTP history trainee last year. It's her birthday today. Tomorrow, we have the birthday of our very own Helen Kennedy from the history department. And it is also Craig Armstrong's birthday. Now, I've got my notes here, and I haven't written down what Craig's job actually is, and I'm still not entirely sure. But you may have seen him on the big leather sofas in the 1911 hall once or twice. So you probably know him. You probably know of him if you don't know him. So I know Craig is a big milestone birthday. I won't say how old he is because it will embarrass him if everyone knows that he's 40. Angela's done it for me already. But if we can all raise a glass to our birthday boys, boy and girls, yeah, I hope that this quiz is the present that you've been so desperately waiting for. Oh, and I've also been told that it's Joe Massey's birthday tomorrow as well, sharing a birthday with Helen. And if there's anybody else I've missed, it's because I wasn't told. I don't know. But yeah, if it is your birthday in the past 10 days or in the next 10 days, God love you. And I know it can't be easy having your birthday in this kind of a setting. So let's hope that knowing that the whole of the school is now saying, happy birthday, everybody, and clapping and wooing and maybe singing. Hopefully that's enough to make up for the fact that you haven't been able to go out and celebrate in the style that I'm sure you're all accustomed. With that said, and with those festivities included, let's get down to the serious business of round 1. So if you can all open your round 1 answer sheets, the link is in the chat if you haven't opened it already and you haven't already got it. I can now exclusively reveal, hang on, I'm just going to top this Prosecco up. I know you're thinking it wasn't even empty, but I really like the bubbles. I can exclusively reveal that round 1 is a sport round. It's a sport round. You should know how it works by now, but if you don't, you simply enter your answer to each question in the field on your answer sheet. And when you are happy, when you are ready, after I've read the questions for the first time, if you're not waiting on any repeats, hit the submit button at the bottom, get it into Farad. If you are still waiting on a few, I will go through the questions a second time, so you don't need to ask for repeats. Only ask me to repeat a question if you've missed it on both occasions. And if you have missed it on both occasions, you're clearly having far too much fun and not listening nearly closely enough. So without further ado, the birthday edition of the NSB quarantine quiz starts with question 1 of round 1 on sport. So, in which professional sport might you see the Astros playing against the Blue Jays? So just looking for the name of the sport there. Question number 2. In the 2009 FA Cup final against Chelsea, which player scored the first goal in a record 25 seconds? So 2009 FA Cup final against Chelsea, who scored the first goal in a record 25 seconds? Question number 3. Sharing its name with both an ancient port city in Israel and a fruit, what term can be used in cricket to describe an exceptionally good ball from a bowler? Question number 4. Since the Six Nations began in the year 2000, only 2 teams have not suffered the embarrassment of being awarded the wooden spoon. Which 2 teams have never been awarded the wooden spoon in the Six Nations? And you do need both teams for a point. It is not a point for each. By the way, these party hats only came in a pack of 8. For some reason, you can't buy a party hat in a pack of 1. Although I feel if quarantine goes on for much longer, you will be able to. So if anyone needs 7 rocket-shaped party hats, just let me know. I'll give you all 7 for a tenner. Absolute bargain. Question number 5. The World Tennis Association rankings are currently frozen with Novak Djokovic as the men's number 1 player. But who is currently the top-ranked female player? So women's world tennis number 1 at the moment. Question number 6. The so-called Eternal Derby is played between 2 Eastern European football teams based in the same city. One of those teams is Partizan. What is the name of the other team, which almost 50% of the country claim to support? So just to clarify for that one, I want the name of the other football club from that city, the same city as Partizan, not the name of the city itself. I need the club. Question number 7. In golf, if 2 under is an eagle and 3 under is an albatross, what is 4 under? So if 2 under is an eagle and 3 under is an albatross, what name is given to 4 under? Question number 8. Who played manager Brian Clough in 2009's football film The Damned United? So looking for the name of the actor there that portrayed Martin Clough. Brian Clough even, sorry. What's there? Shows my knowledge of football. I'm sure he's really, really famous, and I can't even remember his first name. Nine. Since 1995, only 2 teams have won rugby's European Champions Cup, previously known as the Heineken Cup, 4 times. For a point, name both of those teams. So since it began in 1995, 2 teams have won rugby's Heineken Cup or European Champions Cup. For a point, name both of those teams. Johnny, I feel like if Craig Armstrong's shaking his head in disgust at me, I must have done something right. Although the idea of disappointing Jamie cuts me pretty deep, I'll be honest. Question number 10. Since 2004, Russian athlete Yelena Isinbayeva has held the world record in which Olympic event? So since 2004, Russian athlete Yelena Isinbayeva has held the world record in which Olympic event? Question number 11. The so-called Thriller in Manila was fought in 1975 between Muhammad Ali and which other boxer? Question number 12. Which English batsman, nicknamed Banger due to his love of sausages, regularly partnered Andrew Strauss at the top of the batting order, including all 5 matches of the famous 2005 Ashes series? He retired from international cricket in 2008 and went on to captain Somerset. So just looking for the name of that opening batsman. Question number 13. Which rugby union position is known in New as the first 5/8? Question number 14. What is the minimum number of throws to check out from 501 in a game of darts? So the minimum number of throws required to check out from 501 in a standard game of darts. And the final question for this round, and after I've read this and you've answered, you are free to submit your answers at any point. Question number 15. Which English football team play their home games at the Den? Which English football team play their home games at the Den? If you're confident, if you don't need anything repeating, you can submit your answers using the submit button at the bottom of the answer sheet whenever you like from now. But I will go through those questions a second time, a little bit more quickly for any that you may have missed. So listen out for any that you want to hear again. Question number 1. In which professional sport might the Astros play against the Blue Jays? Question number 2. In the 2009 FA Cup final against Chelsea, which player scored the first goal in a record 25 seconds? Question 3. Sharing its name with both an ancient port city in Israel and a fruit, which term can be used in cricket to describe an exceptionally good ball from a bowler? Question 4. Since the Six Nations began in 2000, only 2 teams have not suffered the embarrassment of being awarded the wooden spoon. Which 2? Question 5. WTA rankings are currently frozen, with Novak Djokovic ranked as the world's #1 men's player. But who is the #1 female player? Question 2. The so-called Eternal Derby is played between 2 Eastern European football teams based in the same city. One of those teams is Partizan. What is the name of the other team, which almost 50% of the country claim to support? Question 7. In golf, if 2 under is an eagle and 3 under is an albatross, what is 4 under? Question 8. Who played Brian Clough in 2009's football film, The Damned United? Never heard of him. Question 9. Since 1995, only 2 teams have won rugby's European Champions Cup or Heineken Cup 4 times. For a point, name both of those teams. Question 10. Since 2004, Russian athlete Yelena Isinbayeva has held the world record in which Olympic event? Question 11. The so-called Thriller in Manila was fought in 1975 between Muhammad Ali and which other boxer? Question 12. Which English batsman, nicknamed Banger, regularly partnered Andrew Strauss at the top of the order, including during all 5 matches of the famous 2005 Ashes series? He retired from international cricket in 2008 and went on to captain Somerset. Question 13. In rugby union, which position is known as the first 5/8 in New Zealand? Question 14. The minimum number of throws required to check out from 501 in a standard game of darts. And question number 15. Which English football team play their home games at the Den? Some answers already coming back, and it looks like we're making a really good start on this round, which is great to see. If you do need any questions repeating a third time, let me know in the chat and I'll oblige. If you are happy and you are ready to answer, get your answers submitted into the man upstairs, the nerve center that is Farid, and he'll get those marked sharpish. You have got about 3 minutes to get all of those answer sheets in, please. Pete, question number 13. Which rugby union position is known in New Zealand as the first 5/8? So that is, what would that position be known as in the English game or commonly around the world? And we're starting to get those answers in now, which is great to see. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. Financier, chances in quickly. The Wilborn's in quickly. FU Wold, wasting no time on that one. Crown Corners are in. Dr. Farkas is in. The newly quarantined teachers are in. Pear Tree, wasting no time. Social Quistancing, great to see. Quislamic State, nice and confident. Monkman and Siegel are in. Quisty are in. Lady Providers, Latvians, Quiz Reads, still deliberating. I ain't getting on no plain fool. I imagine there are going to be some people who are very sure on their answers, and there's going to be a little bit of, I mean, really, director of sport, head of PE, and that bloke who sits on the sofas. You'd really expect that team to be getting 15 out of 15 on this, wouldn't you? You know, people say, "Oh, no pressure to a team with one history teacher in on a history round," but they're pretty much the pinnacle of NSB sport. And they're really taking their time over this one. No room for error. Winfield's Redemption, just waiting on you and the Wuhan Clan as well. 5 teams still to submit. But at the minute, there's lots of blue on my answer sheet, which suggests we're doing very, very well. Which I love to see. I don't know, Fred, whether on the, you know, that the round one sheet where the answers, no, the one where they come in onto that round one sheet with the actual answers. Not all the teams appear to be on there. I don't know if that makes too much difference. If you can still see them in the league table, but I can't see, for example, Quiz Read don't seem to be on that one, or the Fielders. Oh, sorry. Does it only come on when they've actually put their answers in? There you go. That makes sense. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's everyone then, isn't it? I've really put the cat amongst the pigeons here, because the only team yet to submit I ain't getting on no plain fool from what I can see. Really, really worried about not topping the table on this round, and rightly so. Rightly so. Agonising over every decision. Is it him? Is it him? Was it her? Oh, could it be? Sweating bullets now. But when that answer sheet comes in, unless I am error, guys. There we go. It's come in now, which is fantastic. So that means I'm in the privileged position to begin to go through the answers whilst Mr. Sharadine marks them. So, question number 1. In which sport might the Astros play against the Blue Jays? You would see them playing against each other in baseball. In baseball. Question 2, the record FA Cup final goal scorer, slotting one past Chelsea in just 25 seconds, was Louis Saha, playing for Everton. I think they went on to lose that game in the end, didn't they? 2-1 in the end, despite the early lead. Question number 3. I think you hear this term now more in your kind of Wisden almanacs than in the actual game. But sharing its name with both an ancient port city in Israel and a fruit, an exceptionally good ball can be described as a Jaffa. And for those of you that don't know anything about cricket, you're thinking, oh, isn't that a cake? Yeah, it's also a cake. Question 4, or a biscuit. I'm not getting into that. Question 4. Since the Six Nations began, only 2 teams have not suffered the embarrassment and ignominy of being awarded the wooden spoon, England and Ireland. Every other team has ended at the bottom of the table at least once. The Welsh don't like to talk about it very often, though. Question 5. The World Tennis Association rankings are currently frozen with Novak Djokovic as the men's number 1, but who is the top-ranked female player? That is the Australian Ashley Barty. Quite a few sort of Simona Haleps, who I think slipped down to 2 just before the ranking freeze. But at the minute, Ashley Barty, the Australian player, is number 1. Question 6. I thought this one was tricky, but you've done really well on it. The Eternal Derby is played between Partizan Belgrade and Red Star Belgrade. So the answer I was looking for from you was Red Star Belgrade, who apparently over half of the country support. I just got a little bit of buzz in my ear from Farid about something Tottenham something. So I presume they beat them. Question 7, bit of a sort of classic quiz question here. You don't actually hear it very often in the sport itself. In golf, 2 under par is an eagle, 3 under par is known as an albatross, 4 under par is referred to as a condor. Did anyone put hole in one down, Farid? Because I was tempted to say it's not hole in one. As far as my understanding of golf goes, you can't get one of these without getting a hole in one on a par 5. But a hole in one is not necessarily the same as this. So we haven't accepted hole in one on that one, I'm afraid, because you can get a hole in one on anything, and it could still only be a birdie or an eagle or whatever. Question 8, Brian Clough was played by Michael Sheen. That is Michael Sheen, the British actor, rather than Martin Sheen, the Hollywood star. I suppose they're both Hollywood stars now, but loads of people getting that one right. That was great. Question number 9. Since 1995, only 2 teams have won rugby's European Champions Cup 4 times for a point named both. That is the French juggernaut Toulouse and the indomitable Irish Leinster. Quite a few teams have won it twice. I think only Saracens have won it 3 times, but Toulouse and Leinster, 4 stars on their jersey, with there. Question 10. Yelena Isinbayeva has held the world record in the women's pole vault since 2004. And she actually held the record before that as well. She lost it for a year or a few months and then got it back, and hasn't been challenged since 2004. She really does dominate that discipline and has done for, 16 years, still going is incredible. Question 11, the so-called Thriller in Manila was fought in 1975 between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Not their only, but certainly their most famous world heavyweight fight against each other. And of course, Ali won that one on a technical knockout. Question 12, the English batsman nicknamed Banga, who partnered Andrew Strauss in the 2005 Ashes, was Marcus Trescothick. Will have been generous on spelling on that one, I'm sure. Question 13, in rugby union, a first 5/8 in New Zealand, more commonly in the rest of the world, is the fly half. If anyone's put number 10, Farid, or outside half, we would probably be generous and accept that as well. Rugby terms do flexible, but if you've got the general gist and it's the player that plays outside the scrum half and probably kicks a lot and probably has good hair, we will give that. I didn't necessarily say it had to be, fly half. Question 14, in darts, the perfect game is 9 throws, getting 180 in your first 2 sets, and then a couple of combinations to get you that last double down to 0. And the English football team that play their home games at the Den, you made this question look easy. Of course, the famously genteel prawn sandwich eating Millwall. Some really good scores there. I'm not named after Joe Fraser. I am half named after Joe Louis, the slightly earlier champion, sort of World War II era. I know I don't look much like him, and then the one of my middle names is Lewis, but not spelt Louis, spelt Lewis, because Lennox Lewis won the heavyweight title not long before I was born. Dad's big into boxing. You don't care about this. What you care about, everybody, is the scores on the doors, which I think I'm in a position to give to you. Okay, so ooh la la. Lots and lots of teams on the same score at the moment, which is perhaps not surprising. So I'm going to go down to all of the teams that scored 11 in that round, which for a number of them puts them joint fifth. So scoring 11 points and therefore being in the top half of the table in round one, we have the Wilborns, Tequila Mockingbird, the Wuhan Clan, Winfield's Redemption, Laggers Legends on debut, FU Adults, Financier Our Chances. That's all on 11 points in joint fifth place. In fourth place with 12 points is Quiz Read. In joint second place with 13 points each, we have the returning Quislamic State alongside the Thompson Tartans, which means with an extraordinarily impressive 15 points, a perfect score, a perfect round, is the newly quarantined Teachers. They have been in and amongst it for a few weeks, and now they're staking an early claim. So that is really good to see them doing so well. The director of sport and the head of PE, let's just say that they got less than 11, and we'll say no more about it. Still, really high scoring round there. Yeah, really, really good. And if sport's not for you, then hopefully you spend your time reading or watching TV, because the next round is books versus films. General idea in this round is you got some questions on books, sorry, not films, some questions on books, some questions on television, and some questions about adaptations of books and books of TV shows and all that sort of thing. But it's about books and it's about the TV. So I would like to think something for everybody. Yeah, Vari, you say that thankfully you have a PE teacher, but again, I will draw attention to. No, I'm not going to draw attention to it. I'm not. By drawing attention to it, I'm not meaning to draw attention to it. The round two answer sheet is now in the chat if you haven't got it all open already. So get that open now. Get your pens and paper. Check your internet connection. I'll give you a minute just to catch your breath, get yourselves comfortable, top up your glasses, etc. And then we will make a start on round two. Another 15 questions, this time on books and television. Out of interest, Farad, what was the most difficult question in round one? The fewest teams answered correctly. So the toughest question, separating the wheat from the chaff in round one, was Ashley Barty, the women's world #1 tennis player. So well done. If you got that, you got the toughest question in the round. Okay. Moving on to round two. Books versus TV. Question number one in round two. How many perfect strangers are there? 18 New York Times bestseller by Liane Moriarty. So how many perfect strangers are there in a 2018 book title by Liane Moriarty? And don't worry, I will go through these again a second time. Question number two. In which US city was the sitcom Cheers set? In which US city was the sitcom Cheers set? Question number three. What is the name of the Le Carre novel of 1977, a sequel to Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, set primarily in Hong Kong? So everybody's heard of Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, but what was the name of the sequel released in 77? To my knowledge, they are yet to make a Gary Oldman, Colin Firth adaptation of this, but wouldn't mind seeing it. Question number 4. Kristen Bell starred as Eleanor Shellstrop, an unpleasant woman who arrives in a beautiful utopia after her untimely death, in which comedy series, which came to an end in January of this year? So what was the name of the TV series starring Kristen Bell as Eleanor Shellstrop? Question number 5. What title is shared by a 1950 short story collection by Isaac Asimov and Peter Crouch's 2019 follow-up to How to Be a Footballer? And to be really technical, the Isaac Asimov thing, it's technically a novel, but it's a novel made up of lots of short stories bolted together that were originally published in magazines. So the title of the 1950 book by Isaac Asimov and Peter Crouch's 2019 follow-up to How to Be a Footballer. Question number 6. Which character in the American sitcom Friends is mentioned most frequently in episode titles? So which character in Friends is featured most frequently in episode titles of the show? Good work there. The eldest Thompson for a fantastic score on the sport round. Let's see if you can hold it. Okay, question 7. Still on the idea of Friends here. Outside of the 6 main Friends, which character appears in the most scenes across the show's 10 seasons? They count as appearing in a scene if they can be seen and have at least one line. So not including the 6 main Friends, which character appears in the most scenes across the show's 10 seasons? Question number 8. The House of Silk is a modern pastiche of the Sherlock Holmes stories by which prolific British writer, most well known for his young adult stories? So who wrote the Sherlock Holmes pastiche, The House of Silk? Oh, interesting. Probably won't give them the airtime. So either that or Beaumont's on the beers again. Question number 9. Which of the following has the most words in the English language? And translated or written in the English language, which of these has the most words in total? A, the King James Bible, B, the Harry Potter series, or C, War and Peace? And we will accept the answer there either as A, B, or C, or the answer written out. But it's probably easier and quicker if you just answer A, B, or C. So which has the most words? A, the King James Bible, Harry Potter series, C, War and Peace. Question number 10. What was the name of the character portrayed by Keeley Hawes in series 2 and 3 of Line of Duty? So the name of the character portrayed by Keeley Hawes in series 2 and 3 of Line of Duty. Question number 11. Which English poet, born in 1572, wrote The Flea, The Sun Rising, and Death Be Not Proud? And be generous on this one and just accept the surname. If you can't think of the first name, we'll accept the surname. So which English poet born 1572 wrote The Flea, The Sun Rising, and Death Be Not Proud? Question number 12. What is the name of the perpetually sickly, curly-haired student in Bart's class in The Simpsons? He is often drawn with white skin rather than yellow to highlight his continual nausea. And conversely to the last question, if you can only think of this character's first name, that'll do. Don't need the surname for this character. So the name of the sickly, curly-haired student in Bart's class in The Simpsons. First name will do it. Thanks for sorting that out, mate. Slightly concerning, but we can, yeah, we'll find a way around it. Question 13. Johan Grufford played which literary character in 8 television films between 1998 and 2003? So question 13, Johan played which literary character in 8 television films between 1998 and 2003? And having been generous on the last two, saying only need first name, only need surname, I do want the full name of this character, first name and surname, please. Question 14. Published in 1961, what was Roald Dahl's first children's novel? So, Roald Dahl's first children's story, published in 1961. Which one was it? And question 15, ending the round on a high note. Who was the first ever winner of the ITV X Factor back in 2004? So, who was the first ever winner of the X Factor in 2004? So, that's your lot for that round. Feel free to submit your answers at any point from now. I will quickly blast through them a second time in case you missed any. So, question 1, how many perfect strangers are there in the title of the 2018 New York Times bestseller by Liane Moriarty? Question 2, in which US city was Cheers set? Question 3, what is the name of the 1977 sequel to John le Carré's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, set primarily in Hong Kong? Question 4, Kristen Bell starred as Eleanor Shellstrop, an unpleasant woman who arrives in a beautiful utopia after her death, in which comedy series, which came to an end in January of this year? Question 5, what title is shared by a 1950 short story collection by Isaac Asimov and Peter Crouch's 2019 follow-up to How to Be a Footballer? Question 6, which character in Friends is mentioned most frequently in episode titles? Question 7, outside of the main 6 friends, which character appears in the most scenes across the show's 10 seasons? They count as appearing in a scene if they can be seen and have at least one line. Question 8, The House of Silk is a modern pastiche of the Sherlock Holmes stories by which prolific British writer, most well known for his young adult stories? Question 9, which of the following has the most words in English? A, the King James Bible, B, the Harry Potter series, C, War and Peace? Question 10, name of the character portrayed by Keeley Hawes in series 2 and 3 of Line of Duty? Question 11, which English poet wrote The Flea, The Sun Rising, and Death Be Not Proud? He was born in 1572. Question 12, what is the name of the perpetually sickly, curly-haired student in Bart's class in The Simpsons? He is often drawn with white skin rather than yellow to highlight his nausea. Question 13, Johan Grufford played which literary character in 8 television films between 1998 and 2003? Question 14, what was Roald Dahl's first published children's novel? And question 15, who was the first winner of ITV1's The X Factor back in 2004? If you need any questions repeating for a second time, let me know in the chat and I'll get that sorted for you. Otherwise, you've got another 3 minutes or so to get your answers into Farid for marking. And again, hopefully we'll see some more high scores on that round. So I presume that means everyone managed to catch all the questions, which is great. So just get those answers in as soon as you can. We'll always be generous on spelling and things like that. We're not trying to catch anybody out. A few teams already in, which is great to see, but I'll give you another couple of minutes. Just going to make myself silent for a moment. You'll be glad to hear. I'll be back on in a Okay, answers starting to fly in now. No, need name. They're not wrong, but I can't accept that. We're generous. We're not pushovers. Steph, I didn't think I'd hear anyone say, "Bring back the myths." Got a torrent of abuse after last week. Why are you asking about squirrels in Norse mythology? Ask me about the FA Cup, they said. Craig, question 15, just because it's you, just because it's your birthday, I'll give it you one more time. Question 15, who was the first winner of ITV's The X Factor back in 2004? Or maybe I'll try and find a way to weave them in without a whole round dedicated to them. I've noticed that sort of myths and mythologies having a bit of a comeback at the minute with Stephen Fry and Neil Gaiman publishing their sort of collections. It's really good to see some of these old classic stories making a comeback, and even cool kids knowing them is great. Thank you to those who've got your answers in. Ain't getting on no plain fool. Ain't submitting no answers either, apparently. Pear Tree taking their time, making sure they've got all boxes ticked, and Winfield's Redemption just giving the answers a once over as well. Tom desperately looking for a Star Wars question in there just to get him a point, but nowhere to be seen. He's had his fill of those. So just 3 teams, and then I can start to go through the answers. So if you can get those in as quickly as you can, that would be great. I think that by the time you've covered sport, books, and TV, most people probably hard pressed to say that there's nothing for them there. Yeah, I don't really like sport. Fair enough. Or I don't really watch TV or play sport. Surely then you're a book. Surely you must be a bookworm. That somewhere in between those is most people's interest. Yeah. What do you do? Well, I just kind of sit. Yeah, just sitting. I suppose film, but no one likes film and not TV, surely. And I'm trying to cover as many bases as I can, that's for sure. And it looks like from the speed of submissions and the scores that we're getting, it's working. People are finding something for them in there, which is great to see. Just waiting now on Pear Tree. Mr. Basin, take your time. There's no rush. You take as long as you want. Do they? Can you give me a little breakdown of amusing wrong answers, please? Excellent. I think we're all in. Let me just check. Yeah, there we go. Pear tree just in now. So I can go through the answers. Tom, there may be plenty of Star Wars books, the Hand of Thrawn and all that sort of stuff, but there are only so many days in a year, and life is only so long. There are a lot of books, full stop. Doesn't mean anyone wants to read them. Okay, so question 1, starting on books here. How many perfect strangers are there, or were there, in the title of the 2018 New York Times bestseller by Leanne Moriarty? There were 9. The title of the book, 9 Perfect Strangers. Question 2, absolutely 100%ed. The whole circle is blue. Cheers was, of course, set in a bar in Boston. Question 3, a little bit tougher. The sequel to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the second book in the Quest for Carla trilogy, starring George Smiley, was called The Honourable Schoolboy. The Honourable Schoolboy, and it's mostly set in Hong Kong. It's the weak link in the trilogy, in my opinion. It's not a patch on the old Tinker Tailor. Question 4, Kristen Bell starred as Eleanor Shellstrop, an unpleasant woman who arrives in a beautiful utopia after her death, in The Good Place. The Good Place. The clue there, probably the beautiful utopia. Not seen it, but heard very good things. Question 5, title is shared by a 1950 short story collection by Isaac Asimov and Peter Crouch's 2019 follow-up to How to Be a Footballer. Could probably have thrown in a slightly ropey sci-fi film starring Will Smith in there as well, based on the book. That was I, Robot. I, Robot. Question 6. Which character in Friends is mentioned most frequently in episode titles? It was Rachel. Rachel was fine. Rachel Green also fine. And question 7, outside of the main 6 friends, which character appears in the most scenes across the show's 10 seasons? That is Gunther, the barista, or the man behind the counter at Central Perk. In order to look, we haven't accepted the barista, unfortunately. I needed the character's name. In order to find that and the previous answer, there was a blog that I was looking at that had crunched the numbers on Friends to establish the main character. And they had it like break down. Well, this character appears in the most scenes individually without the other friends. However, in total screen time, and then in terms of number of lines and episode, it was crazy. But apparently, according to this super fan, the main character of Friends, categorically and statistically, is Ross. I don't know. I don't care. Some of you may care. But the main character of Friends is apparently Ross. Probably the most controversial thing I've ever said there, but there you go. Question number 8. The House of Silk is a pastiche of the Sherlock Holmes stories written by Anthony Horowitz. Question 9. Good question, this. I found this one, in fact, challenging to Farid, this one came up. The most words in English out of the King James Bible, the Harry Potter series, and War and Peace by at least a factor of 2, so twice as many as the second, the Harry Potter series. There are over 1 million words in the Harry Potter books combined, compared to only about half of that in the other 2. There's not much between the other 2, but the Harry Potter series, far and away. And I suppose if you took the Bible or War and Peace and then you stacked all 7 main Harry Potter books next to it, you could probably see why. But a surprising answer in some ways. Question 10, fantastic character here, played by a fantastic actress. Keedy Hawes played D.I. Lindsay Denton. Lindsay Denton in Line of Duty. Question 11, probably the toughest question in the round. The English poet born 1572 who wrote The Flea, The Sun Rising, and Death Be Not Proud was John Donne. John Donne, and we have accepted just Donne. Yeah, for some reason I've decided to subject myself to I've got a biography of John Donne now next to my bed. Not quite 1 million words, but I'm going to start working my way through that now we're in quarantine. I really like him. It's very good. Question 12. The sickly child in Bart's class in The Simpsons is Wendell. It's Wendell Barton if you want his full name, but we'll accept just Wendell. No, but yes, if only. Question 13. I'm sure he must be English with a name like that. The English actor Johan Grufford played which literary character in 8 television films between 1998 and 2003? He was in the fantastic Hornblower series as Horatio Hornblower. And I did need both parts of that magisterial name, Horatio Hornblower, for a point. Justine, I don't think that Johan Grufford could possibly be Welsh. His name starts Ioan. That's not Welsh. He must be English. He's a very good actor. He can't be Welsh. Question 14. Roald Dahl's first published children's novel back in 1961, James and the Giant Peach. James the Giant Peach. And question 15. For those of you sad enough to remember, the first ever winner of the X Factor was Steve Brookstein, or Steve Brookstein, probably. Didn't go on to be one of the big winners from that, but he was the first ever winner, which is something that can never be taken away from him. Farad, are we ready for the scores there? Fantastic. So, how has that shaken up the table? A little, but not a lot. So, I will go down to the teams that are on a total of 19 points or higher, which means that they are in joint 10th place. So, with 19 points each, we have Pear Tree and Financy Our Chances, joint 10th. On 21 points each, putting them joint 7th, we have the Latvians, Ethuidold, and Quislamic State. On 22 points on their own, in 6th place, Winfield's Redemption. The Thompson Tartans slipping down a little bit, but not too much, on 23 points. In 4th place, with an impressive 24 points, it's the Wilborns. In joint 2nd place, both with very good scores on this round, taking them up to 26 points each, we have Tequila Mockingbird and Quiz Read. And with a barnstorming 14, taking them to a total of 29 points out of 30 so far, we have the newly quarantined teachers, showing that youth really is a match for experience. So that's an unusual table. Okay, so what we're going to do now. First of all, I'm going to stick a light on because I think I'm getting a little bit dark, having tried to compensate for that flash earlier. When I say so, Farad is going to put the answer sheet for round 3 into the chat. You need to open your answer sheet and you need to start answering questions on it. It is a picture round. You will have a picture of a famous landmark or geographical feature. Above the picture, rather than below, above the picture, you will have the question. It might be, which city would you find this in? It might be, which country would you find this in? It might even be, which English county or whatever. Make sure that you look carefully at the question and the picture. If you give a country for a city, nothing. Don't appeal it. You're just wrong. Equally, if you give the city when I've asked for the country, even if you're right, you're not getting a point. Yeah? You've got to read the question, look at the picture, and make sure you're answering the right thing. That's made it sound more complicated than I think it is. I don't think you'll have any problems with it. But you've got 15 landmarks or geographical features, and you need to answer the questions relating to them. I'm not going to go through them or anything like that. You are going to have 10 minutes from when the answer sheet appears in the chat to answer the questions and submit at your leisure. Please do not wait until I say so. The sooner they're in, the quicker Farid marks, the less filler chat you have to put up with. Think about that. If you can get those in as soon as you can, in 10 minutes time, which will be 2047, I'll be back on your screens giving you that last little push that you will inevitably need to submit them. Like any good students, I'll give you as long as you want and you'll still leave it until the deadline. And then hopefully at about 2050, we'll be able to start going through the answers to the picture round. So it's tight at the top of the table. It's tight at the middle of the table. There's all to play for. There really, really is this time. There's all to play for. Answer sheet for round 3 with your pictures is going into the chat. Now, never works. When you're ready, Farid. You're only making me look like a mug. What? Thanks, mate. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so maybe it's me that's making myself look incompetent. First time for everything. Anyway, 10 minutes. I'm going to have a chat with Farid because he's not doing his job properly. He's making me look stupid. 10 minutes. Make sure you're answering the right question, not the question you want to be answering. And we'll be back at, we'll say 2048. We'll give it a full 10 minutes of me being silent and you working your way through the picture round. Happy quizzing. Shed tears of joy. I've returned. Answers are starting to come back in now for the picture rounds. No immediate time pressure. We've had answers back from Quiz Read, the NQTs, Pear Tree, Quizlamic State, and the Latvians. A few more, just waiting on everybody else. But you've got another 2 or 3 minutes to get those answers in now before we go through them. Looks like we're doing well so far. Hopefully that round's prompted a few, oh, I've been there, or oh, I've seen that, or oh, that was on TV. And you've managed to get the gist of what the questions are asking from you. If there's anyone that needs clarification on any of the questions, what I'm asking for, what I'm looking for, do ask. I haven't got a problem with that, within reason, of course. But if we can get those in, we won't have a formal break now until the end. So as well as getting your answers in, make sure that you're comfortable, make sure that you've got everything you need, snacks, beers, wines, whatever. Maybe you've decided to join me on the bubbly for Vari, Craig, Helen, Joe Massey, etc. Oh, whilst I'm here and filling time, the question that I asked and posed in the midweek regarding people who have the same born in the same year as the Queen, who have become famous. A few people sent me emails back, some right, some comprehensive, some off the mark, and some very creative. I said to you it would make a heck of an interesting dinner party. Well, picture the scene. Queen Elizabeth II, David Attenborough, Fidel Castro, and Jimmy Savile. Oh, and of course, Marilyn Monroe as well, who quite a few people got back to me on. But yeah, Queenie, Marilyn, Castro, David Attenborough, the national treasure, and Sir Jimmy Savile would make for quite the stimulating conversation, I'm sure. Remarkable, really, that kind of in the Western world, Fidel Castro probably not the least popular of that assembly. I can't stand David Attenborough. But well done and thank you. I think Helen Topping Shaw submitted a list of people who share the Queen's official birthday, and there were some other sort of great names in there as well, and lots of people asking. But if you were wondering, the Queen was born on the 21st of April, 1926. Wow. Farad tells me the same year as his grandfather as well, which I would have accepted as an answer. Okay, so just waiting now on 3 teams. Dr. Farkas, the Wuhan Clan and Tequila Mockingbird just making their final adjustments and double checks. Blimey, Justine, your friend Lauren is 94 years old. It's always nice to see cross-generational friendships. Excellent. We should see a sharp upturn in their fortunes then. Has Lagden been going solo for the last few rounds? Wow, he's doing extremely well. Solo on debut, and he's up there in the mix. Hey, surprised if he'd been there since week 1. Who knows? Who knows? Well done, Paul. So now just waiting on Dr. Farkas and the Wuhan Clan. If you can get those in. sooner rather than later so we can crack on. That'd be great. Justina, as a friend of Craig's, could you possibly enlighten us as to what his job role is? It's the one question that nobody this evening has been able to answer. Sharing a rare crown with US state capitals as things people don't know. Yes, it was, yeah. So now just the Wuhan clan still to come in, and then I can start picking my way through the answers for you. Just what you want on your birthday, Craig. I'm sorry, I've opened a can of worms here. Let's be gentle now. Come on, Rich's clan. You're holding us up now. What did I say about homework deadlines? Honestly. Shocking. Someone get Dave Hodgson on the phone. Just to remind you, whilst we're waiting on that last one, the top of the leaderboard is really, really tight. So 5th place, 23 points, the Thompson Tartans. 4th place, 24 points, the Wilborns. Joint second with 26 points, 2 of the most successful teams historically in this quiz, Tequila Mockingbird and reigning champions Quiz Reed. And top of the table with a very impressive 29 points are the newly quarantined teachers, who did extraordinarily well with a perfect score on round 1 and made a really good go of round 2 with 14 as well. So they, the newly quarantined teachers, are the team to beat this evening. And the Wuhan clan are now in. Not a problem, Pete. Don't worry about it. It's not like you had 200 people waiting for you. I'm joking. I'm sure everyone was grateful of the break. And yeah, we will go through the answers to round 3 now then. So the first question was asking you to give me the country in which that remarkable mountain range could be found. Described by some as the newest natural wonder of the world, only being uncovered due to the melting of ice caps and things and global warming. They are the Rainbow Mountains in Peru. The Rainbow Mountains in Peru. Anyone who's been watching Race Across the World might have got that one. Eamon and Jamil went up there. The Rainbow Mountains in Peru. Question 2, the statue there. It was a statue of the Little Mermaid, the Hans Christian Andersen character, which is your clue to the answer, which is Copenhagen, capital of Denmark. So Copenhagen was the answer to question 2. Question 3, I asked you what was the London borough in which you would find that line on the ground. Well, it was, of course, the Greenwich Meridian, and the answer was Greenwich. If you zoomed in closely enough, you probably saw Greenwich on there, but you use your initiative. That's good. Question 4, that is the Golden Temple of Amritsar. Amritsar, the kind of the premier spiritual site of Sikhism in the Punjab. So the answer was Amritsar. Question 5, I was generous there, and rather than asking for the city, I asked for just the country. It is the often referred to as the world's tallest slum. It's called the Tower of David, an unfinished kind of high-rise building in Caracas in Venezuela. And I think it might have appeared on Homeland. And there was a documentary about it a few years back as well. But it's the Tower of David in Caracas in Venezuela. I think the toughest question on the quiz so far tonight. That one. Not many teams converting there. Question number 6. You've got the famous tram in front of the famous monastery in the Belém district of Lisbon. That is Lisbon for question 6. Beautiful place. Fascinating monastery, great history there as well. Question 7, another really tricky one. This was a picture of the Aswan High Dam on the River Nile in Aswan in Egypt. That was Egypt. Few people maybe thinking that was the Panama Canal, or I think we might have got the Hoover Dam as well. It's in the USA, but it was the Aswan High Dam in Egypt. Question 8, the big landmark there that you could see was the Palace of Science and Culture, sometimes known as Stalin's penis, which was a gift to the city of Warsaw by the occupying Soviet government. So that is Warsaw in Poland. Question number 9. I've insulted your intelligence. You've made this one look easy. That was, of course, the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. Question 10, no points for telling me that's Stonehenge, but points for telling me that it is in the county of Wiltshire. I went there for the first time earlier this year, actually. It was fascinating. Windy, wet, rainy day in the middle of one of our winter storms, but still a hell of a thing to see. Question 11, that is the... you could see in the center of the image there, one of the world's tallest buildings, Taipei 101 in Taipei, in Taiwan. That's Taipei, the answer to question 11. Question 12 is a lovely aerial shot of Fort St. Elmo in Malta. Specifically Valletta, but I only wanted the country, Malta, one of the forts built by the Knights of St. John, part of the Siege of Malta, famous historic moment. Question 13, that's the statue of Greyfriars Bobby, the faithful dog, in Edinburgh. Question 14, they are the super trees or the mega trees in the Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. And question 15 was the Hertford College Bridge, Oxford's Bridge of Sighs in Oxford. I don't know anyone that went to the University of Oxford, but I've heard they are extraordinarily clever, charismatic, and engaging individuals. But that was Oxford. There's as much as it pains me to say it, it's probably the worst of the Bridge of Sighs. Cambridge's is probably better. Venice's is probably better, but still you can get some nice shots of that one. So Oxford. Are we sorted for scores, Farid? The proportion of blue to red on the pie chart suggests to me this is going to be a high scoring round, but let's see what it does to our leaderboard. So I will start with teams who have managed to get to 34 points, which puts them on joint 5th, and there are three teams in that position. So in joint 5th place with 34 points out of a possible 45, we have F. Woodald, Winfield's Redemption, and the Wilborns, all on 34 points. Just above them on 35 points, we have the Thompson Tartans, who are back up in the mix after a weaker second round. Well done to them. In 3rd place, with 36 points, we have Helen Topping-Shaw and Tequila Mockingbirds. In 2nd place, with 37 points, 11 off that round, we have Quiz Read. And still in 1st place and holding off all opposition with another very impressive 13 points out of 15. Giving them a total of 42 out of 45 so far, we have the newly quarantined teachers. Could this be the greatest birthday of all time for Vari? We will find out after round 4. But this is still looking tight. Even outside of that list I've just given you, we've got teams on 32, teams on 33, teams on 30. It's still very much all to play for going into the final round. The answer sheet for round 4 will be appearing in the chat if you haven't already got it to hand, but let's get that open. I would strongly advise that if you haven't already, you get pens and paper for this one because it's going to be a connections round. Most of you will know how this works, but for the benefit of returning and new teams and people who have simply forgotten, because usually by this point in the quiz, they're 4/5 of a bottle of wine down and it's all a bit of a haze. The way this round works is there are 3 sets of 5 questions. Question 1, question 2, question 3, and question 4 will all just have an answer. Question 5 is going to ask you what links the answers to questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, question 10, what links the previous 4 answers. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I will reread the questions as sets, so I'll go question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so you don't have to remember too much. Strategy-wise, it's always a good idea to write down the questions, and then if you get the connection, you can go back and fill in the gaps with something logical and so on. There's a chance to pick up a lot of points here, even if you don't know the answer to every single question by playing smart. As always, and I'll throw this caveat in, I have written these connections rounds, and as Victoria Corin Mitchell on Only Connect would say, I will accept what I can accept and what I have written down. If you think you have given me a connection which works absolutely perfectly for all 4 answers, and I haven't given it to you, you can query it in the chat. But 3 of them matching and 1 of them not quite fitting doesn't count. Each one of these has an answer that I've got in front of me, and there's not really too much wiggle room on it. But of course, I'm always open to challenge if it's reasonable. That's how we operate here. So if you, Shirley, good mathematical question there. Let's have a look. Stato's on it. He said he's got it covered. He'll be able to give you the. This is a man who spends the back end of the football season trying to figure out what bizarre statistical impossibilities would have to happen for Tottenham to win. So he's got you covered, Shirley. I will focus on what I know, which is asking you questions. So question 1 in round 4, the first question of the first connection set is: which author wrote The Castle of Otranto, considered by many to be the first Gothic novel? Question number 2. What is the title of the 1999 horror film that tells the story of 3 student filmmakers investigating a local legend? It is told from the perspective of their camera. Question 3. Which actress's film credits include Elizabeth Halsey in Bad Teacher, Jenny Everdeen in Gangs of New York, and June Havens in Night and Day? And question number 4, which of the Knights of the Round Table, portrayed by Tom Hopper in BBC's Merlin, is the title character of an 1882 opera by Richard Wagner? There you go, Russ. You've got your myths and your opera all in one question there. Something for everyone this quiz, I tell you. Something for everyone. And question number 5 is, of course, what links the answers to question 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'll give you questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 a second time. So, question number 1 again. Which author wrote The Castle of Otranto, considered by many to be the first Gothic novel? Question 2. What is the title of the 1999 horror film that tells the story of 3 student filmmakers investigating a local legend from the perspective of their camera? Question 3. Which actresses' credits include Elizabeth Halsey in Bad Teacher, Jenny Everdeen in New York, and June Havens in Night and Day? And question 4. Which of the Knights of the Round Table, portrayed by Tom Hopper in BBC's Merlin, is the title character of an 1882 opera by Richard Wagner? And question 5. What connects the answers to questions 1, 2, 3, and 4? Ruth, I've thrown Love Island questions in before. There was an X Factor question tonight. I can't be accused of cultural snobbery, I hope. So I'm looking for the link between those 4 answers, please. 4 again, Steph, as it's you. Question 4. Which of the Knights of the Round Table, portrayed by Tom Hopper in BBC's Merlin, is the title character of an 1882 opera by Wagner? And for those of you that know the opera maybe and not the other things, I'll accept the answer in English or German. But as always with the connection rounds, one version of the answer will be better at helping you get the connection, if that makes sense. So moving on to the second set of connections with question number 6. Boss of Me, which features the lyrics, yes, no, maybe, I don't know, can you repeat the question, was the opening theme to which sitcom of the early 2000s? Question 7. What name is shared by a popular drinking game and the large area of the Pacific Basin which contains over 75% of the Earth's active and dormant volcanoes? Question number 8. It's a long question, so listen carefully. Which battle, fought near Musselburgh in September 1547, was the last official military clash between the English and Scottish armies until the Union of the Crowns in 1603? A resounding defeat for the Scots at the hands of the Duke of Somerset, it saw the infant Mary, Queen of Scots, smuggled out of the country in the aftermath. So long question, but I'm only looking for the name of a battle fought between English and Scottish armies in 1547. And question number 9. What word is traditionally shouted by a golfer as a warning that a travelling ball may hit another person or player? Yeah, I'm reliably informed by Farid that Johnny Hewitt is a common user of this Of this phrase, yeah. So, what word is traditionally shouted by a golfer as a warning that a travelling ball may hit another person or player? I imagine it gets bandied about quite a bit in the old NSB golf scene, doesn't it? Johnny was one step ahead in there, Faraday, saying exactly the same thing. I imagine there are other short phrases that may be shouted when a ball is perhaps not travelling in the direction that it's supposed to be as well. Indeed, indeed. And question 10 is, of course, what connects the answers to question 6, 7, 8, and 9? Partly at that, but I noticed that even when I'm not tabbing across earlier, it was kind of pulsating. I know that when I go to the kind of bright white spreadsheet, I know that's lighter and now it's darker, and that's kind of I'll try and find a way around that. Maybe we could change the color of the background of the answer slides to a grayish color. But earlier, I think it was the laptop trying to compensate for the light being awkward. I think it was trying to backlight it and not quite sure. And as I moved forward and backwards, I got more and less light. So I'll go through those one more time for you. Question 6, Boss of Me, which features the lyrics, yes, no, maybe, I don't know, can you repeat the question, was the opening theme to which sitcom of the early 2000s? Question 7, what name is shared by a popular drinking game and the large area of the Pacific Basin, which contains over 75% of the Earth's active and dormant volcanoes? Question 8, which battle fought near Musselburgh in September 1547 was the last official military clash between English and Scottish armies until the Union of the Crowns in 1603? A resounding defeat for the Scots at the hands of the Duke of Somerset. It saw the infant Mary, Queen of Scots, smuggled out of the country in the aftermath. Question 9. What word is traditionally shouted by Johnny Hewitt as a warning that a travelling ball may hit another person or player? And question 10. What connects the answers to question 6, 7, 8, and 9? And question number 11, beginning the third and final set of connections and the last leg of tonight's quiz. Which athlete won gold for Great Britain in the T44 100 metres at both the 2012 and 2016 Paralympic Games? Question 12. Mirabelle and green gauge are varieties of what foodstuff? Sarah, as I've said on a number of occasions, there's not going to be a Disney round. Not going to happen. Question 13. Whose novels include The Quiet American, Our Man in Havana, and The Power and the Glory? I could also probably lessen that kind of backlighting effect if I do this a bit. I know it's too late now, I've only just figured it out, but if I just double tab, that probably makes it less prominent as well, hopefully. And question 14, the 2010 Emma Stone film, Easy A, is loosely based on which classic American story by Nathaniel Hawthorne? And question 15, predictably, what connects the answers to questions 11, 12, 13, and 14? Which I will give you one more time. Question 11. Which athlete won gold for Great Britain in the T44 100 metres at both the 2012 and 2016 Paralympic Games? Question 12. Mirabelle and green gauge are varieties of what foodstuff? Question 13. Whose novels include The Quiet American, Our Man in Havana, and The Power and the Glory? Question 14. Which 2010 Emma Stone film, the 2010 Emma Stone film Easy A, is based on which classic story by Nathaniel Hawthorne? And question 15, what connects the answers to questions 11, 12, 13, and 14? So if you can get your answers in as soon as you can, I always expect this round to be a bit slower as you try and fill in the gaps and figure out those connections from what you've got. But if you can get those answers in as soon as possible, Farah can get them marked, I can give you the answers, and we can see whether Quiz Read have managed to stage a comeback or whether for the first time in the better part of a month, we have new champions. Let's find out, shall we? Very exciting indeed. If you do want any questions repeating for a second time, just let me know. If you look at the answer sheet, I've underlined the necessary words, and yeah, that is fine. That is fine. Even just that one word is enough, actually. If they haven't bothered with the battle of, that's really the key word. Let's see what lies at the bottom of this bottle of Prosecco. Let's see if it's the answers to life, the universe, and everything. That's easy. One thing it doesn't tell you, what does Craig Armstrong do? Guys, please keep sending those requests for specialist rounds. I really appreciate having something to completely ignore. There seems to be some strange misconception that this is a democratic system. Sarah, it's not the quantity of people that want Disney, it's the quality. And as I'm the only person that really matters, it's not happening. It's not happening. There was actually, and I'll tell you what, I really appreciate that you're all here tonight, because talking of niche quizzes or special interest quizzes, the wonderful Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, was actually hosting an Instagram live quiz on the Marvel Cinematic Universe tonight. And if I wasn't hosting this, I would definitely have been there. Definitely have been there. Okay, lots and lots of answer sheets coming back in, which is great to see. Thank you to everyone who's got those in. The Wilborns are in, confident. Quiz Reader in, confident. Lagdon on debut, impressing us all, is in, confident. Thompson Tartans, confident. Crown Corners are in. Newly quarantined teachers, they've done it. Their fate is sealed now. They can't affect things anymore. They've done their best. Can they hold out at the top? Winfield's Redemption are in. Russ is in. We're really coming now to squeaky bum time. God, I'm nervous. Okay, just a few teams now. Lady Covidus, just waiting on you. Dr. Farkas, you beat me to it. You put it in as I said it. Pear Tree, making sure, being safe. Social distancing. And John lets me know that they had a prior engagement. So we won't be waiting on them, but they did extremely well in the 3 rounds they played. I'm reliably informed it's a video engagement. I'm not suggesting anything else. Yeah, so just 3 teams, I believe. And usually by the time I say that, someone else gets in. So we're almost there. Very, very few points at the top. What do we got here? A round on Little Mix, Grey's Anatomy. I'd rather stick pins in my eyes. Sports round every week, bit more reasonable, bit of a broader topic. Arts round, performing arts, expressive arts. Yeah, there's an argument for that one. American politics, maybe not, but politics, yeah, it tends to get fed into history, I guess. Musical theatre, again, the sort of performing arts I can see. A round on Quiz Read. I don't think there is enough information in the public domain to write 15 questions on Quiz Read. On Chris Reed, even. The man is an enigma. Gav, crop rotation in the 14th century. Yeah. I imagine that would be marginally less painful for everyone than a Grey's Anatomy round. But so I think just waiting on now, Lady Covidus, just waiting on you. And then we are good to go. And see, the worrying thing here would be that you guys seem to think that Farad and I have some monopoly on writing quizzes for the NSB staff body. I would be so happy to see a quiz set up by somebody else on Grey's Anatomy, crop rotation, musical theatre, Disney. You know what? We need some competition. Do it on a Wednesday night. No, I'm joking. I will always, of course, try and slot questions in that I think people will enjoy. I'm always just very hesitant on rounds that are really, really exclusive. You know, you've seen this TV show or you haven't. And if you haven't, you might as well sit out for the next 20 minutes. So I will take all of these things on board. I'll try and get the questions in. I'm nothing if not a demagogue. All noted, absolutely. And I'm only joking when I dismiss any type of question. Before I go through the answers and the final scores, the obligatory plug for money donations. I know it seems weird now. We're so used to this quarantine that it's become a bit of a sort of way of life. But we were doing this, and we are still doing this to try and bring people together. But we thought if we could raise a little bit of money for NSB Charity Week as well, that would be great. So Farad always sends some payment details in his weekly emails just to join the quiz. If you haven't already and you're thinking you might, A pound per player per week, either pay as you go or at the end. All of that money will go into a sort of charity pot that will be given to. It will go. Yeah, it'll pretty much go directly to Gav and Angela and everyone up in finance, who will do with it as they please. And we trust them with vast sums of money all the time. So I'm sure it will go to where it needs to go. Farid, Helen's asked if you could send the details for how to donate again. Would you mind just sending a separate email just with that information in to all staff, just in case anyone's missed it? Cool. Thank you, mate. Okay. It is time then to go through the answers to round 4. So, first set of connections. Question 1. The author who wrote The Castle of Otranto, considered by many to be the first Gothic novel, that was Horace Walpole. Horace Walpole. Question 2. The horror film about the 3 student filmmakers, which kind of, I guess, popularized or pioneered that found footage style that became very popular in horror films and things after. The Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project. The actress whose credits include Elizabeth Halsey, Jenny Everdeen, and June Havens, every single team getting this one right, was, of course, the delightful Cameron Diaz. The Knight of the Round Table, portrayed by Tom Hopper. That's Billy Bones, for any of you Black Sails fans, in BBC's Merlin. And the title character of an 1882 opera by Wagner, that was Sir Percival. And we have accepted Parsifal for that. Which means, and I think maybe for the first time ever, every team getting the connection right here, which is really impressive. If we take the Walpole from Horace Walpole, the Blair from the Blair Witch Project, the Cameron from Cameron Diaz, and the Percival from Sir Percival, we end up with the surnames of British Prime Ministers. So the connection, British Prime Ministers. Walpole, that's Robert Walpole, considered to be the first Prime Minister. Tony Blair, obviously, David Cameron, obviously, and Spencer Percival, the first and only British Prime Minister ever to be assassinated, shot outside the Houses of Parliament. So well done to everybody for getting that connection set there. Question 6, Boss of Me, featuring the lyrics, yes, no, maybe, I don't know, can you repeat the question, was the opening theme to Malcolm in the Middle. You'll all know it now, the kind of weird, kind of flashing skateboarding, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. It's a great sitcom, Malcolm in the Middle. Question 7, the popular drinking game and the large area of the Pacific Basin containing over 75% of the Earth's active and dormant volcanoes. That is, of course, Ring of Fire, the Pacific Ring of Fire and the game Ring of Fire. I've never played it, of course, but I'm reliably informed by my friends that that is a drinking game that people sometimes play to get drunk. I think it sounds very irresponsible. Question 8. Which battle fought near Musselburgh in September 1547 was the last official military clash between English and Scottish armies? Blah, 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 blah. That is the Battle of Pinkie. Or Pinkie Cleugh, but we have accepted the Battle of Pinkie. Question 9, the word shouted by golfers as a warning that a travelling ball may hit another person is, of course, fore, F-O-R-E. I'm sure there are other 4-letter words that are shouted in similar contexts, but the traditional thing to say is fore. Which gives us the following answers. Malcolm in the Middle, Ring of Fire, the Battle of Pinkie, and fore. If you're still struggling with the connection here, I suppose I'd better give you a hand. Malcolm in the Middle, the Ring of Fire, the Battle of Pinkie, and fore. The forefinger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger. They are all fingers or digits on the hand. The final connection set. Question 11, the athlete who won gold at the Paralympic Games in 2012 and 2016. That was Johnny Peacock. Mirabelle and Greengage are both varieties of plum. the novelist who wrote The Quiet American, Our Man and Havana and The Power and the Glory, my favourite writer of all time. That is the wonderful Graham Greene. And the 2010 Emma Stone film Easy A is based on The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, which gives us peacock, plum, green, and scarlet. Now, you may be needing a clue for this connection. Miss Scarlet, Reverend Green, Professor Plum, and Miss or Mrs. Peacock all are, of course, characters or suspects in the original Cluedo. So the connection we were looking for there was Cluedo. Hopefully then, you got some of those stumped you. But again, a really, really impressive set of scores on that final round. Which means, Farad, are we ready? Okay. It's exciting. I might throw up. And it's got nothing to do with the Prosecco. Wow. This is tight. This is really tight. Okay, I'll start in 10th. We'll go for the top 10 teams, including joints. So, with 43 points each, putting them in joint 10th place, we have a late surge from the fielders and an impressive final round for the Latvians. So well done to Victoria King and family and Alison Clinton and family. In 9th place with a strong 44, taking, I believe, 15 points on that last round, or close to. No, sorry, 12 points on that last round, is Pear Tree. So Graham Smith and the Basin family. In 8th place with 45 points is Joe Wicks' All You Need. That's Phil Beaumont and family. In 7th, yeah, they took 15 in the last round. Really, really good stuff. In 7th place with 48 points, a little bit off their best, but still a really good score, is F. Hugh Woodold. That's John Elder, Johnny Hewitt, Claire Alderson, and friend. In joint 4th place, we've got 3 teams, all just shy of getting into the 50s. 49 points each for Winfield's Redemption, the Wilborns, and the Thompson Tartans. A really good effort all round there. And the podium is made up of some familiar faces, teams that have consistently impressed over the last few weeks. In 3rd place, with 50 points, is Tequila Mockingbird. Give them a round of applause. That's Helen Toppingshaw and family. Which means that the final 2 teams, you'll know who they are. They've been in and amongst it for the last few weeks and throughout all of tonight's quiz. Both teams with a perfect score on the final round. 2nd place, dethroned, is Quiz Reed on 52, which means with a spectacular 57 points, it is the newly quarantined teachers picking up their first win of the NSB quarantine quiz season. That's impressive. 57 out of 60 is a really impressive score. And in fact, I think that is 3, or almost 2 perfect rounds, a 14 and a 13. That is going to be hard to beat for anybody. That is going to be hard for anybody. Farah Justine saying that they didn't get question 1 right. Question 1. Either or doesn't change the final reckoning. The newly quarantined teachers were too good this evening and have taken week 5 by storm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna be generous. Horace rather than Horatio. It was the surname. Yeah. Either way, academic. Anyway, I won't keep you for long because I know that it gets late and we're all very busy and very tired and whatever. Thank you so much for playing. Thank you for the people who have been here week in, week out, putting up with me for many hours of a Wednesday evening. Thank you for teams that have returned for the first time in a while. Thank you for teams that are playing for the first time, or players that perhaps are joining teams for the first time. Farid and I do put in a fair bit of work on this quiz. We really do try our best to give you a range of questions, subjects, difficulties. And Farid makes my life easy by running the tech beautifully well. Most of you won't have even noticed some of the things that were going on tonight that he managed to sort out with the wave of his wand and a click of his fingers. So thank you to Farid as always. He does a fantastic job behind the scenes. I would hate to hog the limelight from him because he does a great job. And of course, it wouldn't happen without your participation. And it wouldn't happen if it weren't for the benefit of you guys and the fact that week after week, people are thanking us. And it is our pleasure and our privilege to do this for as long as people are enjoying it. So well done to the newly quarantined teachers. Hard luck to Quiz Read, although still, the team to beat in this quiz. Well done to everybody else, all of the other teams, all of the other players. Happy birthday to Craig, to Vari, to Helen, to Joe, and anybody else that I've missed. And enjoy the rest of your evenings, enjoy the rest of your weeks, and stay safe, keep quizzing, and protect NSB. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.